Imagine waking up not in your soft bed, but on a straw mattress soaked with dampness. Outside the window, there's no sound of cars, only a deathly silence, broken by the creak of a cart and a raspy voice shouting, "Bring out your dead." You feel a slight chill. You raise your hand to your neck and touch it, a hard, burning swelling the size of an egg. In that moment, you realize your life will end in 3 days, in agony, alone. It is the year 1348, a time when God seemed to have turned away from humanity and death was hosting its bloodiest feast. Today, we'll uncover why you, a person from the 21st century, would have had absolutely no chance of surviving this hell. We'll trace the journey from the very first flea aboard a ship to the dead cities of Europe. You're on the Back to History channel. Get comfortable if you can. Let's begin. It all began far from Europe. Death came from the east. In the 1340s, something changed in the steppes of Central Asia. An ancient enemy awoke, the bacterium Yersinia pestis. The first biological weapon. Have you ever heard of the Siege of Kaffa? When the Mongol forces of Johnny Beg realized that a mysterious disease was wiping out their army, they didn't retreat. Instead, they began catapulting the corpses of their dead soldiers over the city walls. It became the first biological attack in recorded history. Escape to nowhere, terrified Genoese merchants jumped onto their ships and sailed toward Europe, hoping to survive. What they didn't know was that they were carrying black passengers with them, rats and fleas, already carrying a death sentence for an entire continent. The church's reaction. In 1348, people believed this wasn't a disease, but punishment for sin, planetary alignments, poisoned air, or the wrath of God. They had no microscopes to see the true killer. Why wouldn't you survive? Because life itself in 1348 was an invitation to the plague. Hygiene. Forget about showers. People believed that water opened the pores to bad air. A layer of dirt was considered protection. In such conditions, fleas lived like kings. Medicine. If you had gone to a doctor, he might have suggested placing a dried toad on your swollen buboes or drinking crushed emeralds. In the worst case, he would bleed you, draining what little strength your body had left to fight. Cities as garbage dumps. In London or Paris, waste was thrown directly out of windows. Rats were your constant neighbors. You shared food, beds, and bacteria with them. Now let's follow how the disease destroyed a person. 1. Day 1. A sudden fever, unbearable headaches and nausea. You still hope it's only a cold. Day 2. Buboes appear. They blacken, filling with blood and pus. The pain becomes so unbearable that people went mad, smashing their heads against walls just to silence it. This was the stage when the famous plague doctors appeared in those masks you've seen before, but they didn't heal anyone. They merely documented death. 3. Day 3. Your organs begin to fail. Internal hemorrhaging starts. Your skin becomes covered in black spots. That's why the plague became known as the Black Death. By evening, you were gone. By 1350, Europe had lost up to 60% of its population. It was an apocalypse unfolding in real time. Economy. Fields were left unharvested. Livestock wandered freely without owners. Those who survived suddenly became more valuable than gold, marking the beginning of the end of feudalism. Psychology. The art of that era became obsessed with the idea of memento mori, remember death. The theme of the Dance of Death, where skeletons danced alongside kings and popes, became the defining image of the age. Isolation. It was in Venice that the idea of quarantine was born, from the Italian quaranta, 40 days. Ships were forced to remain in port for 40 days before anyone could go ashore. The plague never truly disappeared. It simply went into hiding. But today, we have antibiotics and knowledge. In 1348, people had nothing except prayer. You would not have survived back then because the entire world around you was an ally of death. Appreciate what you have today: clean water, medicine, and the ability to study history without risking your life. If you enjoyed this dark journey into the past, leave a like and subscribe to Back to History. Next time, we'll return to ancient Rome, and I promise, it'll be just as intense. Back to History.